Hey everyone, and welcome to a new series called Can I Kiss You? Written by me, Stacey Holt. Artwork was by ccerealbowl. I'll leave their links below. You should really go check them out because they're such an amazing artist. Now, Chapter 3. What do you mean? He asked. Well, the one that I admired and had a crush on was him, Adrian. He never liked me in that way, though. Plus, I think he's dating Kagami. Marinette sighed. She closed out the tabs in her computer as she saw Cat Noir's face reflected in the screen. He was standing awkwardly behind her. What? You think he's dating Kagami? Why do you think that? He asked. It's kind of obvious that they're dating. She told me herself that I need to stop hesitating about my feelings, but I become a stuttering mess around him. I've had a crush on him since he gave me an umbrella. It sounds dumb, I know. Though I grew out of it when I was 15 because I just assumed we would be nothing more than friends. I still sometimes end up making a fool of myself around him, like yesterday morning. Marinette chuckled to herself, almost feeling foolish. You had a crush on him? For that long? He asked, feeling a little awkward. I think we should talk about the kiss, and not the crush on my classmate. Marinette looked away, changing the subject. What about it? He asked, turning to go sit down on the little couch. Marinette stood up and walked over to him as well. She sat down on the couch beside him, grabbing one of her arms with her opposite hand as if she were uncomfortable. Are you all right? He asked. Did the kiss mean anything to you? Marinette asked, turning to look at Cat. Well, what could he tell her? What if it didn't mean anything to her? Should he say yes? Should he say no? What is the best possible option here that wouldn't make things any more awkward? Mean anything? Well, did it mean anything to you? He repeated her question back to her. Cat, I need you to be serious, Marinette groaned. I am, I swear. Cat's honor. Well, how would this even work? I don't know who you are under the mask. You're a superhero, and I'm... Marinette sighed. Amazing. He finished her sentence, causing her to turn her head. As she turned her head to roll her eyes at him, she saw him just smiling at her. His eyes focused on hers. No, I'm a civilian, Cat. This wouldn't work, even if you had feelings for me. Let's say I do have feelings for you. Cat started feeling a little awkward. And? Marinette teased, smirking. Well, I would take you to the Eiffel Tower and bring you dinner. Then we could eat at the top of it tonight. That girl would have to have feelings for me too, though, obviously. Cat blushed, feeling a little out of his comfort zone. Isn't that illegal? Marinette crossed her arms. Not for superheroes. Cat smirked, leaning into her personal space. And what if I said no? Marinette rolled her eyes, moving toward him. That forced him to retreat backwards as she was now in his personal space. Then this black cat would surely be the definition of bad luck. Cat said, frowning. Cat Noir, instead of this date that you're trying to set up, we really need to talk about the elephant in the room. Marinette leaned back, laying on her back to close her eyes on the couch. He looked down at her. He could see she was anxious. He laid down beside her on his back, looking up at the ceiling. Marinette opened her eyes and turned her head to look at him. His eyes were focused on the ceiling above them, in deep thought that he didn't notice her staring. Cat? Marinette asked, feeling her cheeks starting to burn. He turned his head and was caught off guard by how close they were to one another. All it would take was a slight push with his back and his lips would touch hers. His eyes grew wide with surprise and his face grew hotter by the second. Yeah? He asked, staring into her bluebell eyes. You never said if you did or didn't have feelings for me, Marinette said, now looking down at his lips that seemed so familiar. Would Another kiss help? He asked, looking down at hers. They both looked at one another, faces red. She wanted to. She really did. Again, she didn't want to put him in this terrible situation. I can't. You're asking me for a kiss now? Without sharing how you feel? Isn't that leading someone on? Marinette smirked. Says the one who kissed me back last night, and brought up the whole thing out of the blue to begin with. Kat laughed with a smirk, watching her get more flustered. Marinette pushed her shoulder lightly to make him stop laughing at her, but didn't think that teased push would lead to them both falling onto the floor. As she pushed him to stop him from laughing, he had lost his balance and fell off the couch. As he fell, he gripped her elbow to catch his fall, but drug her down with him. They both fell and crashed onto the floor below. She blinked several times to find herself laying on his chest, hearing his heart starting to beat faster. She lifted her head up to meet his gaze and saw him looking down at her. Marinette started to laugh as she sat up and helped him up. Kat laughed with her, and it felt like time had stood still yet again. She loved how he made time seem endless. She loved his childish humor and clumsy behavior. She loved the way his hair laid awkwardly when they fell off the couch. She loved the way he smelt and how tall he was compared to her. She loved everything. She wanted to kiss him. She wanted to do it one more time, just to make sure that those feelings were real. Why couldn't she just block Adrian out of her mind, even with Cat Noir by her side? If you had feelings for someone, shouldn't the other person you used to have feelings for fade away? Before she had any time to say anything, she watched as he stood up. She sat up on her knees, watching him dust himself off. He walked over to her bed and opened the latch. "You're leaving?" she asked, a little sad to see him go so soon, almost yearning for him to stay. "Well, I have some stuff to do today, but if the girl does have some feelings, per se, he would pick her up at 8. Kat winked, jumping up to the balcony before she could protest. Marinette sighed as a smile started to form on her face, watching him disappear out of sight. Marinette sat down at her table and began to work on her schoolwork and felt Tiki land on her shoulder. "What?" Marinette said, smiling to herself as she was typing a paper for school. Tiki shook her head and kept quiet, letting Marinette enjoy herself for once instead of worrying about where and what Adrian was doing. 8, huh? I can get my homework done by then. Wait, it's my turn to patrol tonight. Oh no!